Hello, hello. Welcome to Healthy Perspectives, a podcast that takes on current cultural and social issues through a clinical lens. Hello, hello. Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, we appreciate your time. We're going to get right after today's questions for Jeremiah. And I said questions with an S because I've been doing question for Jeremiah. But today, it's going to be multiple questions. I got two today that I wanted to use. The more people get invested in this process, the more willing I am going to be to put my time and energy into answering some things. So keep sending me questions. You can do that in an email. You could do that through my website. There's a lot of ways to get me. Look, it's not difficult. Listen to the post-show stuff. It'll get you connected to everything that I do out there. You can connect with me on Twitter, on Facebook. I mean, you name it. I'm probably there. And if I'm not, let me know. And, if it's worth my time, I'll go there. Obviously, I have a limited amount of time, energy, and resources just like you. So I'm only going to put my energy into the things that are fruitful. But today's questions, let's roll right into it. First question. Look, this one's going to be a tough one because I'm not actually sure where they were going, but it's a good question. So I want to make sure we hit it. I'm pretty sure all trust in my relationship is gone. How do I know? And what options do I have to make sure I don't leave too soon? Now, chances are the way that this sounds is it sounds like it's maybe a romantic relationship kind of a situation. But I don't want to assume that because I don't really know. It could be just friendship, right? It could be like one of those long-term friendships or something like that where we were really close. Maybe we were best friends for, several years and we would call each other best friend and they have this this special spot in my heart. And I'm just trying to figure out, are we done? Let's be real. Both of those, the information that I'm going to give you is the same for both. Let's just talk about the core of relationship. Trust is the core of a relationship. If trust is gone, then the relationship, well, the question then, the right question from a therapeutic lens is the trust repairable? Well, that will only be able to be answered by you, of course. But the things to weigh there are, am I willing to go through the reconciliation process? And if so, what would I need in order to move forward? Okay, if you can't answer that, then, chances are you got more work to do on yourself. If you can answer that, the answer to that will determine whether you move forward and say, let's pursue reconciliation, or let's shift away from this person and love them more from a distance, right? You've always probably heard me say something along the lines of, love isn't optional. It's just whether I love up close or at a distance. When people are not trustworthy, I love at a distance because I can only do so much in their world. But if they are trustworthy, then I can love more up close. All right. So that's step one. Am I willing to do that work? Then I have to approach the other person and say, are they willing to do the work also? And I might base that on, hey, I've come with some criteria. Here's the deal. You have been telling me some lies, keeping some secrets from me or whatever. And I am willing to consider moving forward with us as a relationship, whether that's a friendship or a romantic relationship or whatever kind of relationship. This could be a parent to child thing too. If trust gets destroyed, trust is the issue. Here's what I am willing to do. If you will do step 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever those might be, it might look something like, if you are willing to acknowledge that there's an issue here, that's a good step. Number 2, if you're willing to take the next step, and that is apologize meaningfully, which means tell me the changes that you're willing to make. And then for my own safety and my own comfort, I will also need you to go, if it's a couple, maybe go to therapy with me. If it's a friendship, it's like, let's go slow and see if we can rebuild the trust. I mean, shoot, you could take your best friend to therapy too. Like, I don't like therapeutically, that makes sense if you're trying to repair the relationship. So do that. All right. Maybe the other options would be we get somebody, maybe we share a third friend who's really a good person, and maybe they could mediate, right? In a more natural world, with people who knew what to do relationally, that would probably be a more likely scenario. So that's what I would say to that. In order to not leave too soon, you got to ask yourself, can you be all in the relationship again? Even if they did the repair work, if you can't be all in, then it's probably not going to work out. Because if if relationships that aren't 100-100, they don't work. If it's a 50-50, it's not going to function for very long, because eventually somebody's going to go 51, somebody's going to go 49, and somebody's going to feel screwed, and the other one's going to be like, haha, I got one on you. And that's a problem. So that is the general answer. If you have more detail and you want to write me back, please do so. I'm happy to address further questions on that. So now we're going to switch gears. I know I haven't done this before, but we're going to switch gears. There's a second question that I want to address today. I know I could have just saved it for next week, but who cares? Let's just go for it. The question says, I really like my counselor, but I don't seem to be getting much out of counseling anymore. Is this normal? Yes and no. There's ebbs and flows. Look, if you've got a good counselor, you could probably tell why I wanted to answer this question and not wait for next week. This is a big question. In a relationship with a counselor, there's going to be flaws. A counselor may or may not identify that they're not pushing hard enough. What I would suggest as a first spot is, if you're connecting with the counselor, which this person clearly is, that is a great first step. That is sometimes challenging to replace. Do we outgrow our counselors sometimes? Look, if I'm being honest, yeah, you should. You should get to a point where you don't need that counselor anymore. If we're doing our jobs well, we are trying to move you to that point. So if you are to the point where you no longer need them, you come in and it's great to catch up, it's nice, it's fluffy, it's light, but in terms of deep content, you've processed it. You're not processing traumas because you already have. They already know them. We've already worked through them, and I'm not being triggered as much or something like that. If the depression has subsided, right? There are some really long-lasting diagnoses that would probably require an ongoing treatment. But generally speaking, most people about 6 months in therapy, and you move on for a year or so, and then some things build, and something, it's like, wait a minute, I remember this person I worked with back here, and they did a good job of helping me out. So I'm going to go back and see if maybe they can nudge me in the right direction, because I'm not exactly sure what to do with this. That's normal. So if that's where you are, then take a break. Okay. Take a break. Extend to, typically what I would do is I would extend to maybe twice a month, then once a month, and then maybe once every 3 months, or when I get to once a month, if they're still making progress on their own, and me being in their life one time a month is just enough to spur them forward, I say, hey, look, here's the deal. I want you to call me when you need me. Okay. If that takes 3 months, then set up an appointment in 3 months. right? And the importance of that is, but I also have processes. I have processes in place where, if I don't hear from them for a couple of months, I'll usually send out a note to them saying, hey, wanted to check in. Look, if you need me, come see me. If not, I'm going to go ahead and discharge you for now, but you can always come back and we can, start some things if something else in life comes up. So that's what we do if we are wrapping up services. Now, your counselor ought to know what to do to help you wrap up services. And if they don't, then you're going to have to guide the process. I hate that happens, but it does happen. You're like, I really just, it's not, I'm not getting anything. I don't need it. All right. So that's one type of normal process. But where is it not normal? If you still have stuff, secrets, if you still have trauma that you haven't processed, and you're not using the therapeutic process anymore to go through those, that would be also normal, but that is not the normal we want. And I say that because you're avoiding the work. If that's what's going on here, the best thing to do is to go in and tell your therapist, say, hey, look, yeah, you and I are good. Unfortunately, I don't feel like you're pushing me hard enough right now. I know that's weird that you would have to say that, but sometimes it happens. A therapist wants to push hard, but not too hard. And sometimes we get lulled into these sleepy zones. We're human. And if your therapist is lulled into a sleepy zone and you're just not getting the counseling that you need, tell them. Just tell them straight up. Be like, look, I'm comfortable with you. I like you. It's great, but I need to be pushed. So can you do me a favor and kick me in the butt? Because I need to go forward, and not with you and me. We're good. I need to go forward in my life. And here's what's going on there that you need to know about, and spill the beans. Like, let it out. That's you avoiding the work. And the most important thing there, stop avoiding the work. Go in there, give them the scoop, let them know what's up, and they will help guide you. And if they don't, well, then it's time to leave. Because a good therapist, in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of therapy, done a lot of therapy, supervised a lot of therapy. At the end of the day, we have to push the clients toward that uncomfortable spot. And if you're not getting pushed toward that uncomfortable spot, that being said, there is this one caveat I want to put in before we go. And that is this. Sometimes there are times where you need to rest and take it easy to build some stamina for what's to come. And on occasion, a therapist might see that and say, hey, look, we're going to, the next 4 or 5 weeks, we're just going to take it easy. But they should be able to articulate that to you if that's what they're doing. Okay. They might be like, look, we're going to get after this other piece that I know has been weighing on you for years. And I want you to know, one, going in, we can attack it as aggressively as you want. And not every time in the middle of this process does it have to be work. And if that's what they're doing, they should be able to articulate that. So that's the caveat. All right. They might see something coming that maybe you don't see, and they should be able to articulate it. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope this was helpful. This time we did have questions with an S. I hope you enjoyed this. Please submit questions to me. You can do that through Twitter, through the podcast. There's a bazillion ways to get me. Okay, not a bazillion. That was a slight exaggeration, but there's at least probably 10 ways to get me if you're looking around hard enough. And the easiest, go into the podcast links and you can find a bunch of ways to track me down. Send me questions. All right. I love getting the questions. This has been really fun for me as a therapist, hopefully helping individuals out there directly with at least how to think about things, not necessarily solving your problems, but giving you some ideas of how to think about them. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good one. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening. We appreciate our audience a lot, so we give you some simple ways to track us down. Please like, subscribe, and follow all the podcasts on different platforms, but you can also email us at healthyperspectives@protonmail.com, or you can check out our website at healthy-perspectives.com/podcast. It's a backward slash. So if you want to go to our landing page, if you go to healthy-perspectives.com, you'll still find us. You just got to click on the podcast button. Thank you so much.